Part 2 Planning and Maintaining a Fitness Program Chapter 4 Principles of Exercise Chapter 5 Cardiorespiratory Fitness Chapter 6 Resistance Training Copyright 2018 M. Montgomery Publications. p69-110 Principles of Exercise Learning Outcomes. After completing this chapter, you should be able to understand basic concepts of anatomy and physiology and how these apply to exercise. Explain how health-related and performance, skill-related fitness are important in law enforcement. Describe the physical and psychological benefits of exercise. Understand the principles of exercise and how to apply them in your fitness program. Explain the benefits of stretching and incorporate safe, effective stretching into your fitness program. Describe the proper way to start a fitness program. Copyright 2018 M. Law enforcement communities promote the importance of fitness for duty, fitness for life, and the health benefits of being physically fit are widely acknowledged. Law enforcement agencies strive to have officers in their best physical condition both when they are hired and throughout their careers, for a variety of reasons. These include maintaining a professional image, improving job performance, having the ability to handle shift work, reducing the likelihood of excessive force, and ensuring the quality of backup. The benefits of fitness for life include preventing health problems, reducing disability, increasing quality of life, and enjoying a longer life. In general, physical fitness has been defined as the ability to carry out daily tasks with alertness and vigor, without undue fatigue, and with enough reserve to meet emergencies and to enjoy leisure time pursuits. Mott and Foster, 2006. In law enforcement, investing in staying fit throughout your career may prevent injuries, keep you safe, and/or save your life. Specifically, those who choose careers in law enforcement and maintain a high level of fitness have the ability physically deal with altercations while performing examinations, searches, and seizures, handle, transport, and keep custody of prisoners, deal with unprovoked attacks by citizens, inmates, sit or stand for prolonged periods of time, wear weighted uniforms and gear, deal with ergonomic issues around workspace, including vehicles and the use of smartphones, neck and eye fatigue, reduce the impact of fatigue from shift work, chase, apprehend, and handcuff an individual who is fleeing, efficiently search a person, vehicle, or cell, easily perform body control and restraint activities. Adams et al. 2010, Anderson, Plikus, and Seger, 2001, Bonneau and Brown, 1995, Jamnik et al. 2010. In this chapter, you will learn about the components of physical fitness, the many benefits of physical activity, and the principles of exercise. As you begin your studies toward a career in law enforcement, you must apply this information by starting a fitness program that will prepare you for the physical challenges of law enforcement. The information in this chapter will serve as an important foundation for this training. Introduction to Anatomy and Physiology. Before we look at the principles of exercise and its benefits, it is important to have a basic understanding of how the human body is structured and how it works. Many of the concepts that we will discuss later with respect to fitness standards and leading a healthy lifestyle, in particular, ways to improve our body's function and avoid harming them, will build on this knowledge. This section describes the basics of human anatomy and physiology so that you can develop skills to meet the physical demands of daily life, physical activities, sports, and job-related performance. 70 Part 2 Planning and Maintaining a Fitness Program. Copyright 2018 M. Montgomery Publications. All rights reserved. Image with the following description. Image for page with label 70 inches. Cells, tissues, and organs. The human body is a complex system of parts that work together. The building blocks of all living organisms are cells. There are trillions of cells in the human body and they are grouped together into 4 basic kinds of tissue, each of which performs a specific function. 1. Epithelial tissue is made up of tightly packed cells. One of its most important functions is protection. It covers our whole body in the form of the outer layer of our skin, lines the digestive tract, and surrounds the organs, keeping them separate from one another and holding them in place. 2. Connective tissue adds support and structure to the body. There are several types of connective tissue, including tendons, ligaments, cartilage, blood, bone, and fat tissue. 3. Muscle tissue is specialized tissue that can contract. Muscle is made up of specialized proteins, actin and myosin, that slide past one another allowing movement. 4. Nerve tissue helps coordinate actions of other tissues by generating electrical signals and transmitting them down the spinal cord to the parts of the body. Organs are structures that perform a function or functions in the body. They are made up of 2 or more types of tissue. All mammals possess these 10 major organ systems. 1. The circulatory system transports oxygen, nutrients, and wastes through the body. It includes the heart, blood vessels, and blood. 2. The lymphatic system defends against disease by destroying viruses and microbes, and removes excess tissue fluid to the blood. It includes the lymph nodes, lymph, and white blood cells. 3. The digestive system breaks down food, absorbs nutrients, and eliminates non-usable materials. It includes the mouth, stomach, and intestines. 4. The endocrine system transmits chemical messages through the body, working with the nervous system. It includes the many glands in the body that secrete hormones, such as the thyroid and pituitary glands. 5. The muscular system allows us to move voluntarily, and controls involuntary movements in the body such as circulation. It includes the body's skeletal and smooth muscles. 6. The nervous system transmits electrical messages through the body to produce movement. It receives, processes, and reacts to stimuli, and with the endocrine system controls processes such as circulation and digestion. It includes the brain and spinal cord. 7. The reproductive system produces cells that allow humans to reproduce. It includes the ovaries in females and the testes in males. Chapter 4 Principles of Exercise 71 Copyright 2018 Emmond Montgomery Publications. All rights reserved. 8. The respiratory system exchanges gas between the blood and the outside environment, absorbing oxygen and expelling carbon dioxide. Among other organs, it involves the lungs and the nose. 9. The skeletal system provides structure and support for the body, and protects the organs. With the muscular system, it allows movement. It includes bone, cartilage, and ligaments. 10. The excretory system filters out wastes, toxins, and excess water. Among other organs, it involves the kidneys and bladder. In the next section, we'll look more closely at the skeletal and muscular systems. We will explore the circulatory and respiratory systems in more detail in Chapter 5. FYI, metabolism chemical processes happen constantly within our bodies. Our metabolism converts the food we eat into the energy our bodies need to function, and also affects how efficiently we use that energy. It is controlled by our nervous system and by hormones secreted by the glands of the endocrine system. Various factors determine our metabolic rate, or how quickly our metabolism works. These include our body size, age, gender, genes, amount of body fat and lean muscle tissue, level of physical activity, presence of illness, mental state, and drug use. Even though we cannot change some of these factors, we can increase our metabolic rate through exercise. Aerobic workouts can help burn more calories in the short term, and building up muscles through weight training helps increase a person's metabolic rate in the long term. Bones and muscles. There are 206 bones in the adult human body, including 29 in the skull, 26 in the spinal column, and 126 in the limbs. Our bones give our bodies form and serve a number of other functions, which help determine their individual sizes and shapes. Long bones in the arms and legs function as levers, while short ones, for example, in the wrist, provide additional flexibility. Other bones protect our organs, such as the sternum, which protects the lungs and heart, and the skull, which protects the brain. The bones of the human body are shown in Figure 4.1. Our bones meet at joints and are attached to each other by strong, fibrous connective tissue called ligaments. The end of each bone is covered with resilient and smooth tissue called cartilage. It acts like a rubber-like padding that covers and protects the end of the bone. While some joints do not move, for example, the fixed joints in the skull, the most common kind, called synovial joints, function as pivot points, allowing for varying degrees of bending, twisting, or sliding and thereby permitting us to move. The full movement potential of a joint, that is, the degree to which it can move in each direction, is called its range of motion. Joints are classified according to the type of movement they allow. In a hinge joint, such as an elbow or a knee joint, the bones are connected in a way that allows movement in one plane only, flexion and extension. But in a ball and socket joint, such as a shoulder or a hip joint, the round head of one bone is held in the cup-like cavity of another bone, allowing movement in all directions. Did you know? The longest bone of your body is the femur, or thigh bone, measuring approximately 1/4 of your height, while the smallest is the staples bone in your ear, measuring just 1/4 of a centimeter. 72 Part 2 Planning and Maintaining a Fitness Program. Copyright 2018 Emmond Montgomery Publications. All rights reserved. Image with the following description. Image for page with label 72 inches. Figure 4.1 Skeletal front view. Skull, cranium, mandible, clavicle, manubrium, scapula, sternum, ribs, humerus, ulna, radius, pelvic girdle, carpals, metacarpals, phalanges, femur, patella, tibia, fibula, tarsals, metatarsals, phalanges, cervical vertebrae, I7, thoracic vertebrae, TIT12, lumbar vertebrae, LI, LV, sacrum, coccyx, spinal column. We would not be able to move our bones if not for our muscles, which stretch across joints and attach bone to bone, and tendons, the tough cords of tissue that attach our muscles to our bones. However, our muscles do not only allow us to move. They are constantly working to hold us up, to stabilize our joints, and to provide other involuntary movements. Figure 4.2 shows the tendons and ligaments of the lower leg. Humans have 3 types of muscle tissue, each with a specific function. 1. Cardiac muscle, also called myocardium, is found only in the heart. Myocardium allows the heart to contract continuously without tiring, in response to nerve signals from the brain. Figure 4.2 Tendons and ligaments. Gastrocnemius soleus, Achilles tendon, calf muscles. Chapter 4 Principles of Exercise 73. Copyright 2018 Emmond Montgomery Publications. All rights reserved. Image with the following description. Image for page with label 73 inches. Two. Skeletal muscle is controlled voluntarily by the nervous system and the brain and allows us to move. 3. Smooth muscle is an involuntary muscle that is controlled automatically by signals from the brain and body and plays a key role in functions that happen without our thinking about them. Almost every organ contains smooth muscle, including the digestive tract and circulatory, respiratory, and excretory systems. Figure 4.3 shows the different kinds of muscles in the human body. Figure 4.3 Types of muscles in the body. We have approximately 640 muscles in our bodies, which can make up half of our weight. Like our bones, our muscles come in different sizes and shapes, which determine their functions. You do not need to know the names of all of them, but you should be familiar with the major muscle groups. The exercises described in this text, and in the accompanying Fit for Duty, Fit for Life training guide, refer to these larger groups to indicate which muscles a particular exercise is training. For example, the 2 major muscle groups in the upper leg, which we refer to as the hamstrings and the quadriceps, are actually made up of 3 and 4 muscles, respectively. The individual muscles within these groups work together to carry out their group's function. Figure 4.4 shows the major muscle groups. Refer to assignment 4.1 at www.mn.ca/fitness5e and see how many of the body's bones and muscles you can identify and name. How do muscles work? Our skeletal muscles are composed of bundles of cells called muscle fibers. Figure 4.5. Each of these long, tube-like cells is packed with hundreds of thin NER fibers, made of protein, called myofibrils. Myofibrils in turn contain two kinds of myofilaments: thin filaments, made of actin proteins, and thick filaments, made of myosin proteins. The thick and thin filaments are organized into bundles called sarcomeres. 74 Part 2 Planning and Maintaining a Fitness Program. Copyright 2018 M. Montgomery Publications. All rights reserved. Image with the following description. Image for page with label 74 inches. Figure 4.4 The major muscle groups: trapezius, gastrocnemius, forearm, latissimus, dorsogluteal group, deltoids, triceps, brachii, lower back, hamstrings, trapezius, gastrocnemius, forearm, pectoral group, quadriceps, deltoids, biceps, brachii, abdominals. Figure 4.5 Muscle fiber, myofibril, sarcomere. Chapter 4 Principles of Exercise 75. Copyright 2018 M. When a muscle is relaxed, the thick and thin filaments within a sarcomere overlap each other slightly. When a nerve impulse tells a muscle fiber to contract, the thick and thin filaments slide past each other until they overlap, shortening the sarcomere. Figure 4.6. The same action happens to every sarcomere within a muscle fiber, causing the muscle fiber to contract. As the load increases, more muscle fibers are recruited by the central nervous system and a stronger force is generated by the muscle. Conversely, when a muscle stretches, the overlap of the actin and myosin filaments decreases, allowing the muscle fiber to elongate. Once the muscle fibers reach their maximum length, the surrounding connective tissue is stretched. The more fibers that are stretched, the greater the length developed by the stretched muscle. Because muscle fibers work as a result of electrical impulses, our muscles need to be insulated from one another to prevent the activation of one fiber from activating others, for example, so that we can contract our quadriceps without contracting our glutes. A connective tissue wrapping around individual muscles isolates them from others. Figure 4.6 Relaxed and contracted muscle fiber. The thick and thin filaments overlap slightly. Two kinds of myofilaments: thin filaments made of actin proteins, thick filaments made of myosin proteins. The thick and thin filaments overlap much more, shortening the sarcomere, the bundle of thin and thick laments. Contracted muscle fiber, relaxed muscle fiber. FYI, strains versus sprains. Strains and sprains are two common injuries, but they are not the same thing. A strain refers to a muscle or tendon that has been stretched or torn by applying too much tension or pressure. Strains cause pain in the muscle, tenderness, and sometimes swelling and bruising. Warming up properly, which increases blood circulation to the muscles, can prevent strains. A sprain is an injury in which ligaments are either overstretched or torn. Sprains can be mild, moderate, or severe. Ankles and wrists are the most common joints to be sprained. Because sprains swell and appear bruised, they can be confused with broken bones. You will learn more about both these common injuries in Chapter 14. Did you know? In order to contract, our muscles need energy. Structures in our cells called mitochondria use glucose and oxygen to produce a compound known as ATP, or adenosine triphosphate. When ATP breaks down, it creates energy. The more mitochondria in a muscle fiber, the more energy it can produce. 76 Part 2 Planning and Maintaining a Fitness Program. Copyright 2018 Emmond Montgomery Publications. All rights reserved. Image with the following description. Image for page with label 76 inches. Types of muscle fibers. Our muscles contain two different kinds of fibers, fast twitch and slow twitch. Most of the muscles in our body contain both types of fibers. Fast twitch fibers can contract very quickly, providing powerful acceleration. They build force rapidly but also use up oxygen and muscular energy rapidly, usually in less than 60 seconds, or 1 to 3 reps. This means they can produce small amounts of energy very fast but are easily fatigued. Fast twitch fibers are bigger in diameter and contain fewer mitochondria than slow twitch fibers. Because they do not use oxygen to produce energy, they do not require a rich supply of blood. For this reason, muscles that contain a lot of fast twitch fibers are lighter in color than muscles that contain a lot of slow twitch muscle fibers. Slow twitch fibers produce large amounts of energy slowly. They build force slowly, consume less energy, and use muscular energy more gradually. They are more resistant to fatigue than fast twitch fibers, so they can work for longer periods without becoming tired. Slow twitch fibers are smaller in diameter than fast twitch fibers. They contain more mitochondria and require a rich supply of oxygenated blood to produce the energy they need for muscle contraction. Muscles that contain a lot of slow twitch fibers are red because of the many blood vessels they contain. The ratio of slow twitch to fast twitch fibers in our muscles is determined by our genetics. It is possible to specifically train one fiber type, but you cannot change slow twitch fibers into fast twitch fibers and vice versa. Table 4.1 Summary of muscle fiber comparison. Fiber type: contraction speed, time to peak milliseconds, rate of fatigue, mitochondria, oxidative capacity. I, slow twitch, slow 100, slow many, high IIA, fast twitch, fast 50, fast few, low IIB, fast twitch, very fast 25, fast few, low. Because of these differences, fast twitch and slow twitch fibers serve different pure poses in the body and are useful for different kinds of activities. Fast twitch fibers are good for sprinting and for quick movements, like jumping. These kinds of fibers make up the muscles that move the eyes, and are found in large numbers in the muscles of the arms. Slow twitch fibers, by contrast, are useful in helping maintain posture and in activities that require endurance, like long-distance running. The soleus, a muscle in the calf, is made up mainly of slow twitch fibers, as are the muscles in the back that help keep the spine upright and those in the neck that keep the head upright. How muscles cooperate with each other. Our muscles work both as movers and as stabilizers. Certain muscles work primarily as movers, for example, the biceps muscle, while others serve primarily to give stability to the joints, for example, the multifidus, one of the muscles in the back. Depending on the movement involved, many muscles can function as movers or stabilizers. Chapter 4 Principles of Exercise 77 Copyright 2018 Emmond Montgomery Publications. All rights reserved. Image with the following description. Image for page with label 77 inches. Facts to think about: fast twitch fibers. Research is looking at the importance of training the fast twitch fibers, which are proportionately strong, powerful, and fast. It is evident that untrained individuals, specifically women, need to focus on upper body strength and power development when training for the intense requirements of emergency response teams. Research shows that their training should 1. Emphasize heavy resistance training components with 3 to 8 repetition maximum sets. This allows fast twitch fibers to gain the most force and increase hypertrophy. 2. Involve activities that mimic the job, including wearing the required weighted body armor and equipment, in combination with resistance and hit endurance training. Sources: Gumieniak, Jamnik, and Gledhill, 2011, Kelly and Jameson, 2016, Nindel, 2015, Nindel, Jones, Van Arsdale, Kelly, and Kremer, 2016, Seguin, 2015, Solomonson, Dix, Kerr, and Pettit, 2016, Wenger, 2007. Our muscles move our bones by contracting and relaxing. They are arranged around joints in pairs known as agonists and antagonists, see below. When muscles cause a limb to move through the joint's range of motion, they usually act in cooperating groups composed of the following. Agonists are muscles that move a bone in one direction. They contract to move a limb through a normal range of motion. Agonists are known as prime movers because they generate movement. Antagonists are muscles that move a bone in the direction opposite to that of the agonist. They return the limb to the original position. They also stabilize our joints. Synergists are muscles that assist the agonists indirectly in producing a joint's movement. Because synergists play various roles, several terms are used to describe them, including stabilizer, neutralizer, and fixator. Fixators are the muscles that provide the support to hold the rest of the body in place while movement occurs. Muscles are not agonists, antagonists. Synergists are fixators in isolation. They act as such specifically in the context of particular movements. For example, the biceps muscle is not always an agonist, but it is an agonist in elbow flexion, which moves the lower arm toward the shoulder. Some common agonist-antagonist muscle pairs include biceps, triceps, quadriceps, hamstrings, pectorals, latissimus dorsi, abdominals, spinal erectors. 78 Part 2 Planning and Maintaining a Fitness Program. Copyright 2018 Emmond Montgomery Publications. All rights reserved. Image with the following description. Many people focus on agonists in training sessions, sometimes causing imbalance and dysfunction when these muscles are overtrained at the expense of undertraining antagonists. For example, in seeking to develop their chest muscles, some people overdevelop their pectorals, agonists, but do not adequately develop the rhomboids and mid-lower trapezius in the back, antagonists. This can eventually pull the scapulae out of alignment, causing the shoulders to round forward. For the best possible performance, it is important to achieve a balance between agonists and antagonists. FYI, describing body positions and movements, there are a number of terms you should be familiar with that relate to the body and its movements, as you will encounter them in the names and descriptions of exercises. Category term definition: positions: supine, the position of lying face up, for example, when doing crunches; prone, the position of lying face down, for example, when beginning a push-up. Movements: note that the following terms always refer to the joints involved in an action, as this is where movement occurs. Extension: any movement that moves a limb or body part from a bent to a straight position or opens a joint, for example, a backbend or extending your arm or leg behind the midline of your body. Flexion: any movement that bends a limb or a joint, or brings the bones closer together, for example, elbow flexion occurs in a bicep curl. Adduction: this refers to the arms, legs, fingers, or toes moving toward the midline of the body. For example, if you are standing with your legs hip-width apart, adduction at the hip joint will bring your feet closer together. If your arms are above your head, adduction of the shoulder joints will bring them back down to your sides. Abduction: this refers to the arms, legs, fingers, or toes moving away from the midline of the body. For example, abduction of the joints at the base of your knuckles will spread your fingers apart. If your arms are down at your sides, abducting the shoulder joints will raise your arms. Medial, internal, rotation: this action, which occurs at the shoulder and hip joints, turns a limb in toward the midline of the body. For example, medial or internal rotation of the hip joint occurs when you turn your left leg so that your left toes are pointing toward the right. Lateral, external, rotation. This action, which occurs at the shoulder and hip joints, turns a limb away from the midline of the body. For example, if your feet are together, opening your toes out so that your feet form a V rotation. This refers to the spinal column and neck twisting either to the right or the left. For example, turning your head to look over your shoulder. Circumduction. This action occurs at the shoulder and hip joints and combines flexion, extension, adduction, and abduction to create a circular movement. For example, the action in your shoulder joint when swimming the backstroke. Chapter 4 Principles of Exercise 79 Copyright 2018 M. & Montgomery Publications. All rights reserved. Image with the following description. Image for page with label 79 inches. Muscular contractions. When we speak of a muscle contracting, this does not necessarily imply that the muscle shortens. Instead, it means only that tension has been generated. Muscles can contract in the following ways. In an isotonic contraction, a muscle contracts in response to a constant force or load that is applied to it. There are two types of isotonic contractions. Concentric contractions take place when the muscle actively shortens against the opposing load and the ends of the muscle are drawn closer together. A biceps curl on the way up is an example of an exercise that produces a concentric contraction. Eccentric contractions take place when the muscle actively lengthens as it resists the load and the ends of the muscle are pulled farther apart. A biceps curl on the way down is an example of an exercise that produces an eccentric contraction. Eccentric contractions are much stronger than concentric contractions and therefore can produce greater exercise benefits. However, eccentric contractions cause more muscle soreness and increase the risk of soft tissue damage. In an isometric contraction, the muscle is activated but does not lengthen or shorten. There is no movement, and the muscle remains at a fixed length. This kind of muscular action occurs when muscles attempt to push or pull an immovable object. For example, if you were to stand facing a wall, extend your arms out at a 90-degree angle, and push against the wall. In an isokinetic contraction, the muscle length changes to contract maximally throughout the full range of movement. Various isokinetic exercise machines are available, which generally involve the use of a wheel, lever, crank, or similar device. The most popular, called the isokinetic dynamometer, provides resistance that matches that of the user as it measures the strength and power of various muscle groups. Figure 4.7 illustrates the difference between isotonic and isometric contractions. Concentric repetitions in weight training cause muscles to shorten in length. Over time, your muscles can shorten to the point where their range of motion becomes restricted. This can result in a decrease in the amount of force you can generate in the muscle. However, stretching can counter the effects of concentric repetitions so that your elongated muscle can generate more force. What is training? In the simplest terms, training refers to making your body more efficient. If you can train your body through general fitness activities, for example, running or weight training, you will be able to do parts of your job more efficiently, for example, chasing potential criminals, enduring a physical altercation, or being able to function at 4 a.m. when asked to search for a lost person. 80 Part 2 Planning and Maintaining a Fitness Program Copyright 2018 M. & Montgomery Publications. All rights reserved. Image with the following description. Image for page with label 80 inches. Figure 4.7 Difference between isotonic and isometric contractions. This process and the changes that take place depend on the individual who is training and the goals that he or she has set. The goal may be to gain more muscle, to reduce body fat, to have the best time on the 1.5-mile (2.4 kilometers) run, or to reduce stress. Training is an individual process. It depends on the objectives of the workout and the attributes of the individual involved. There are a number of ways in which to modify your body's attributes, and each person must understand that there may be a variety of options available to achieve those changes. Finding out which way works best for you will take time and effort. Human performance results cannot be completely standardized. In other words, no one program works the same for each person. It is impossible to expect that a fitness instructor would be able to give your entire class the same program and have the same results for everyone by the end of the course. Ultimately, you will have to do a great deal of training on your own to find a program that works best for you. Chapter 4 Principles of Exercise 81 Copyright 2018 Emmond Montgomery Publications. All rights reserved. Image with the following description. Image for page with label 81 inches. FYI, no pain, no gain. It is common to feel varying degrees of soreness in the muscles both during and sometimes for several days following strenuous exercise. The two kinds of pain have different causes. When we exercise vigorously, we may feel soreness or a burning feeling in an active muscle, for example, during sprints. This soreness results from a buildup of lactic acid, which occurs whenever the muscles are active for more than a minute or two and become fatigued. This usually encourages us to stop the activity. Within a few hours to a day, the lactic acid is cleared away by the body and the burning disappears. In addition to soreness during strenuous activity, we may also experience delayed onset muscle soreness DOMS, particularly after trying a new exercise or suddenly increasing the length or intensity of our workout. DOMS is characterized by severe muscle tenderness, stiffness, decreased strength, and decreased range of motion that usually peaks between 24 and 72 hours after a hard workout. Placing new demands or stresses on a particular muscle can cause microscopic tears in the muscle fibers, which can cause soreness, swelling, and inflammation as the muscle repairs itself. After the rebuilding process, which is one reason why you must give your body sufficient time to recover following a hard workout, the muscle is stronger than before. This means that the next time you do the activity that caused the DOMS, you will likely experience less soreness. To cause the same amount of micro damage to the muscle fiber the next time, you would need to add more stress to those muscles. This is the principle behind building muscle mass. Research has shown that eccentric contractions result in more muscle cell damage than concentric contractions, so exercises involving these kinds of contractions, such as downhill running, will result in increased soreness in the days following the exercise. Health-related fitness. The 5 components of health-related fitness are cardiorespiratory endurance, muscular strength, muscular endurance, flexibility, and a healthy body composition. Regular physical activity leads to improvements in all 5 areas. Cardiorespiratory endurance. Cardiorespiratory endurance, heart and respiratory system endurance, is the ability of the heart to pump blood throughout the body efficiently. This means your body can perform prolonged large muscle activities, such as swimming or jogging, at moderate to high intensity. It is probably the most important component of fitness. When you regularly engage in activities that improve cardiorespiratory endurance, you enhance your body's ability to regulate blood flow and use oxygen and other fuels. As a result, you lower your resting heart rate and blood pressure, and your ability to dissipate heat increases. Having the stamina for a foot chase is one example of how cardiorespiratory endurance is important in law enforcement. Cardiorespiratory endurance is dealt with in greater detail in Chapter 5. Muscular strength. Muscular strength is the amount of force a muscle can produce with a single maximum effort. Muscular strength can be developed by training with weights, kettlebells, medicine balls, or body-based exercises, for example, push-ups or chin-ups. Strong muscles are important for daily activities such as lifting and pulling heavy. FYI, the Police Fitness Personnel of Ontario (PFPO) has advocated the importance of health-related fitness in policing for over 30 years. It compiles evidence to support the fact that officers who are fit will be able to do their jobs more effectively and safely, and has promoted a lapel pin fitness award, the Ontario Police Fitness Award (OPFA), discussed in Chapter 1. Ontario Corrections and Bruce Power have adopted similar programs. 82 Part 2 Planning and Maintaining a Fitness Program. Copyright 2018 M. Montgomery Publications. All rights reserved. Image with the following description. Image for page with label 82 inches. Objects, climbing stairs, vacuuming, and carrying groceries. Abundant musculature provides good structural support for the back and helps prevent back and leg pain. It enhances recreational activities, for example, by helping a player jump higher in volleyball, hit a tennis ball harder, and kick a soccer ball farther. Muscular strength is also important for overall health. A greater muscle mass increases the body's metabolic rate, the rate at which the body breaks down food, producing energy. Strength training is vital to prevent diseases such as osteoporosis. Muscular strength is dealt with in greater detail in Chapter 6 and in the Fit for Duty, Fit for Life training guide that accompanies this textbook. FYI, blood pressure and resting heart rate. Among the many benefits of physical activity are lower blood pressure and a lower resting heart rate. As blood travels through the body, it exerts a force against the blood vessels. The force is called blood pressure, and it changes over the course of a day. When blood pressure stays high for a longer period of time, it is called high blood pressure, or hypertension, and it poses health risks. Hypertension makes the heart work harder and can cause the walls of the arteries to harden, called arteriosclerosis. Among other medical problems, this increases the risk of heart disease and stroke. Our resting heart rate is influenced by factors including our genes, age, and fitness level, as well as medical conditions, medication, and stress. A higher resting heart rate is a risk factor for heart disease, and is correlated with an increased risk for high blood pressure and atherosclerosis. In addition to exercise, you can lower your resting heart rate by using stress-reducing techniques, avoiding tobacco products, and losing weight. Muscular endurance. Muscular endurance is the ability of a muscle to sustain a prolonged contraction or to contract over and over again. Muscular endurance is important for injury prevention and proper posture. Without a good back and well-built abdominal muscles, a person's spine is subjected to stress that can result in lower back pain. For law enforcement officers, who must wear an equipment belt weighing 7 to 9 kilograms, core endurance is important. Muscular endurance can be achieved by exercising with weight training equipment and body-based activities. See Chapter 6 and Fit for Duty for more information about muscular endurance. In these exercises, light weights are combined with many repetitions. Flexibility. Flexibility is the ability to move the joints freely through their full range of motion. As a person ages, lack of flexibility can create poor posture and be debilitating. Stiff joints and a restricted range of motion can lead to lower back problems, an issue that we will look at in Chapter 11. Without flexibility, it is easier to get hurt when reaching or twisting inappropriately. In particular, lower back and hamstring inflexibility can be issues when getting in and out of a police cruiser. Greater flexibility leads to muscles that are more supple and less prone to injury. Flexibility can be maintained by following a regular fitness program. You will read more about flexibility later in this chapter. Chapter 4 Principles of Exercise 83 Copyright 2018 M. Montgomery Publications. All rights reserved. Image with the following description. Image for page with label 83 inches. Objects, climbing stairs, vacuuming, and carrying groceries. Abundant musculature provides good structural support for the back and helps prevent back and leg pain. It enhances recreational activities, for example, by helping a player jump higher in volleyball, hit a tennis ball harder, and kick a soccer ball farther. Muscular strength is also important for overall health. A greater muscle mass increases the body's metabolic rate, the rate at which the body breaks down food, producing energy. Strength training is vital to prevent diseases such as osteoporosis. Muscular strength is dealt with in greater detail in Chapter 6 and in the Fit for Duty, Fit for Life training guide that accompanies this textbook. FYI, blood pressure and resting heart rate. Among the many benefits of physical activity are lower blood pressure and a lower resting heart rate. As blood travels through the body, it exerts a force against the blood vessels. The force is called blood pressure, and it changes over the course of a day. When blood pressure stays high for a longer period of time, it is called high blood pressure, or hypertension, and it poses health risks. Hypertension makes the heart work harder and can cause the walls of the arteries to harden, called arteriosclerosis. Among other medical problems, this increases the risk of heart disease and stroke. Our resting heart rate is influenced by factors including our genes, age, and fitness level, as well as medical conditions, medication, and stress. A higher resting heart rate is a risk factor for heart disease, and is correlated with an increased risk for high blood pressure and atherosclerosis. In addition to exercise, you can lower your resting heart rate by using stress-reducing techniques, avoiding tobacco products, and losing weight. Muscular endurance. Muscular endurance is the ability of a muscle to sustain a prolonged contraction or to contract over and over again. Muscular endurance is important for injury prevention and proper posture. Without a good back and well-built abdominal muscles, a person's spine is subjected to stress that can result in lower back pain. For law enforcement officers, who must wear an equipment belt weighing 7 to 9 kilograms, core endurance is important. Muscular endurance can be achieved by exercising with weight training equipment and body-based activities. See Chapter 6 and Fit for Duty for more information about muscular endurance. In these exercises, light weights are combined with many repetitions. Flexibility. Flexibility is the ability to move the joints freely through their full range of motion. As a person ages, lack of flexibility can create poor posture and be debilitating. Stiff joints and a restricted range of motion can lead to lower back problems, an issue that we will look at in Chapter 11. Without flexibility, it is easier to get hurt when reaching or twisting inappropriately. In particular, lower back and hamstring inflexibility can be issues when getting in and out of a police cruiser. Greater flexibility leads to muscles that are more supple and less prone to injury. Flexibility can be maintained by following a regular fitness program. You will read more about flexibility later in this chapter. Chapter 4 Principles of Exercise 83 Copyright 2018 Emmond Montgomery Publications. All rights reserved. Image with the following description. Image for page with label 83 inches. Body composition. Body composition, discussed in greater detail in Chapter 7, refers to the proportion of lean tissue, muscle and bone, to fat in the body. A healthy body composition requires a large proportion of lean tissue and a small proportion of fat. Fat is important for organ protection, for control of heat production and heat loss, and is a source of energy that the body can use. However, people with excessive fat are at risk for joint problems, back pain, heart disease, high blood pressure, stroke, gallbladder disease, cancer, and other illnesses. The healthiest way to lose fat is to exercise and to adhere to a sensible diet recommended by your doctor. Weight training is the best way to increase lean tissue mass. Performance skill-related fitness. The 6 components of performance skill-related fitness are speed, coordination, reaction time, agility, balance, and power. These are greatly enhanced when you exercise regularly. Although not considered essential for a healthy life, the 6 components are especially important in law enforcement. For example, if you are involved in a foot chase, a physical altercation, or a rescue. All of these situations require you to be in top physical condition and be able to respond to trouble quickly and appropriately. Both health-related and performance skill-related fitness are evaluated by the Physical Readiness Evaluation for Policing Prep Test, the Fitness Test for Ontario Correctional Officers (FITCO), the Physical Ability Requirement Evaluation PAIR Test, the Police Officer Physical Abilities Test (POPAT), the Correction Officers Physical Abilities Test (COPAT), the Alberta Physical Readiness Evaluation for Police (APREP), the Fitness for Operational Requirements of Canadian Armed Forces Employment Force for the Canadian Armed Forces, and the Standardized Physical Abilities Test (SPAT) for Quebec police officers. These tests will be discussed in detail in the appendix. Speed is the ability to move quickly. During a foot chase, for example, a law enforcement officer requires leg and foot speed. Coordination involves the mind and body working together to perform motor tasks smoothly and accurately. Good coordination is needed, for example, to jump over obstacles, kick a soccer ball, and hit a golf ball. Using firearms also requires good coordination. Without it, hitting a target is almost impossible. Reaction time is the time that elapses between stimulation and the beginning of a person's reaction to the stimulus. For a law enforcement officer, being able to react quickly to a volatile situation can mean the difference between success and failure and even between staying alive and getting killed. 84 Part 2 Planning and Maintaining a Fitness Program. Copyright 2018 Emmond Montgomery Publications. All rights reserved. Image with the following description. Image for page with label 84 inches. Agility is the ability to rapidly and accurately change the body's direction of movement. Skiing, mountain biking, and self-defense are examples of activities that require agility. Balance refers to the body's ability to maintain equilibrium while stationary or moving. Walking across a support beam, performing on a balance beam, and self-defense are activities that require good balance. Power is the ability to transform energy into force at a rapid rate. Power is necessary in sports such as discus throwing and the shot put. In law enforcement, power is necessary to move a person out of the way, scale a wall, or jump a railing. The health benefits of physical activity. Before reading any further, refer to assignment 4.2 at www.mn.ca/fitness5e and see if you can list some of the health benefits of physical activity. Regular physical activity produces long-term improvements in body function. As shown in Table 4.2, these benefits are both physical and psychological. Table 4.2 Physical and psychological benefits of physical activity. Physical benefits: maintenance of healthy weight, improved digestion, improved posture and balance, stronger muscles and bones, increased bone density, better circulation, strengthened heart and lungs, strengthened immune system, prolonged good health in seniors, reduced risk of premature death from heart disease, stroke, and certain types of cancer, reduced risk of developing high blood pressure, lower total blood cholesterol and triglycerides, and increased high-density lipoproteins, HDL or good cholesterol. Psychological benefits: reduced stress levels, relief from symptoms of depression and anxiety, increased energy, improved sleep, more confidence and a more positive outlook on life, improved mood, prolonged independence in seniors, better quality of life. Sources: Statistics Canada, 2012, Statistics Canada, 2014b, Statistics Canada, 2016. Did you know? Between 2012 and 2014, we have seen a decline from 1 in 5 adults to 1 in 10 adults who achieved the recommended 150 minutes of moderate to vigorous physical activity in 10-minute periods per week set out by the Canadian Physical Activity Guidelines for adults and for older adults. Sources: Health Canada, 2013, Statistics Canada, 2015. Chapter 4 Principles of Exercise 85 Copyright 2018 Emmond Montgomery Publications. All rights reserved. Image with the following description. Image for page with label 85 inches. Refer to assignment 4.3 at www.mn.ca/fitness5e and list the physical and psychological benefits of physical activity that are most important to you. We know that fitness is important, but we are learning how important it is to be active throughout the day and to limit the time we are sitting. It is not just about adding a workout to our day but also increasing the amount of time we move throughout the day. Physical activity levels among children and youth are low, with 62% of waking hours, or 8.6 hours every day, devoted to sedentary activities. CBC News, 2011. Inactive time increases with age. The same study found that adults were sedentary for 69% of their waking hours, or 9.5 to 10 hours per day. Colley et al., 2011. Sedentary behavior includes sitting for hours in front of computers or workstations, sitting in classes, and playing on electronic devices. It also refers to sitting in a cruiser or security vehicle, watching security or correctional monitors, writing reports, or sitting in court. Sitting has now become an independent risk factor for increasing your risk for various diseases. Those who sit the most versus those who sit the least have 112% increased risk of diabetes, 147% increased risk of cardiovascular disease, and are 50% more likely to die prematurely, of all causes. Wilmot et al., 2012. Combining the rates of obese and overweight adults indicates that 62%, 8.1 million, of Canadian men and 45.1%, 5.8 million, of Canadian women had an increased health risk because of excess weight. Statistics Canada, 2013, Statistics Canada, 2014. Approximately 1 in 4 adults are obese, and this not only has a negative impact on health but the quality of life. Public Health Ontario, 2014. Some of the physical issues that overweight and obese individuals face when trying to become physically active include lacking the flexibility to move through the entire range of motion of the exercise, stress on bones and joints, especially knees. 1/3 of the injuries, increased risk of back injuries, increased risk of fractures, and osteoarthritis, a degeneration of cartilage and its underlying bone within a joint. Hootman et al., 2002, Jani and Jakasic, 2010. Facts to think about: Canadian youth, physical activity, and weight issues. 4 out of 5 Canadian adolescents do not participate in the recommended volume of physical activity suggested by the Canadian Physical Activity Guidelines. Slightly more primary school than secondary school youth are physically active on a daily basis, 19% versus 17%. Only 6% of Canadian children take the recommended 12,000 steps per day. Only 7 to 10% of youth under the age of 19 are meeting the guidelines of at least 60 minutes of moderate to vigorous physical activity daily. Overweight children experience physical and psychological health problems. They are at increased risk of developing chronic diseases later in life, because they are more likely to become overweight adults. The most profound concern has been a progressive increase in the body mass index (BMI) of Canadian youth aged 7 to 13, noted from 1981 to 1996, with the prevalence of obesity in this age group more than doubling over this period. As of 2009, 25% of children and youth were overweight or obese. Sources: Active Healthy Kids Canada, 2014, Barnes, Colley, and Tremblay, 2012, Canadian Adolescents at Risk Research Network, 2004, CSEP, 2011. Colley, Gary Gay, Jansen, Craig, Clark, and Tremblay, 2011. B. Hoban, Leatherdale, Mengsky, Dubin, Elliott, and Viugulers, 2013, Jansen and LeBlanc, 2010, Perez, 2003, Tremblay et al. 2010, Tremblay and Wilms, 2000. Did you know? Sedentary behavior is any waking behavior characterized by an energy expenditure less than or equal to 1.5 METs while in a sitting or reclining position. A MET is equivalent to spending about 1.8 calories per minute for a 70 kilogram person. Source: Jette, Sydney, and Blumchen, 1990. 86 Part 2 Planning and Maintaining a Fitness Program. Copyright 2018 Emmond Montgomery Publications. All rights reserved. Image with the following description. Image for page with label 86 inches. Figure 4.8 Adults who are obese, 2014, by province and territory. British Columbia 16.0%, Yukon Territory 23.2%, Alberta 21.5%, Northwest Territories 33.7%, Nunavut 24.7%, Saskatchewan 25.1%, Manitoba 24.5%, Ontario 20.4%, Quebec 18.2%, Newfoundland and Labrador 30.4%, Prince Edward Island 24.2%, Nova Scotia 27.8%, New Brunswick 26.4%. Population aged 18 and over who reported height and weight that classified them as obese compared to the national average of 20.2%. Significantly lower, not significantly different, significantly higher. FYI, costs of physical inactivity. If the economic burden of inactivity, smoking, and excessive weight continue at the 2012 rates, $50.3 billion. Jansen, 2012, we will see an increase of at least 4.9% annually. Kruger, and Coote, 2015, Kruger, Turner, Kruger, and Reddy, 2014. The Canadian government has undertaken the development of a healthy living strategy with an emphasis on physical activity, where areas such as healthy body weight, mental health, and injury prevention will be identified. Ministry of Health, 2005. Since 2010, there has been an added focus on preventing weight gain in children and youth as well as getting them to be more physically active. Public Health Agency of Canada, 2010. Chapter 4 Principles of Exercise 87. The implications of health-related diseases associated with physical inactivity can be reversed if individuals are willing to take ownership of their physical well-being. As you research the components of physical training, remember the goals you set in Chapter 2. They will assist you in determining which goals may be most important. The principles of exercise. The goal of exercise is to bring about some of the physical and psychological benefits discussed above and to improve the body's functioning. Although there is inevitably a limit to the level of fitness and performance you can attain, a limit that varies from person to person, training gives everyone the chance to experience at least some of the physical and psychological benefits of exercise. Particular fitness outcomes require particular exercises. For example, to conform to the aerobic component of the bona fide occupational requirements (BFORs) in the appendix, you have to be willing to devote some time to running. Leger, 1985, Leger and Lambert, 1982, has equated level 7.0 in the shuttle run component of the prep to running 1.5 miles, 2.4 kilometers, in approximately 12 minutes. Public Safety Canada, 2008. The level at which a person completes the shuttle run does not necessarily correlate with the time that it takes the person to run that distance, although results do indicate that those who can successfully run 1.5 miles in the specified time have no difficulty in completing level 7.0 in the shuttle run. Strength and endurance training is also very important in law enforcement. Whether it is training for use of force, walking, foot pursuits, or arresting an individual, it is important to develop muscular balance in order to respond to these emergencies and prevent and/or rehabilitate injuries, especially low back problems from sitting or standing too long. Anderson, Zutz, and Plikas, 2011, Bullock, 2007. Exercise principles outline the criteria that guide your training. Following these principles well will lead to successful outcomes. Let's look at those principles that you need to be aware of when planning a fitness program. The principles of physical training. The basic principles of physical training are progressive overload, specificity, individuality, reversibility, diminishing returns, and recovery. CSEP, 2003. The principle of progressive overload. Progressive overload refers to placing a greater stress or load on the body than it is used to. The body needs to be subjected to increasing gradual demands in order to produce continual improvements. If the body is not worked hard enough or, on the other hand, is worked too hard, physical training will not produce benefits. Excessive exercise may in fact cause detraining and injuries. The principle of progressive overload takes into account that both the skeletal and cardiac muscles adapt to the overloading. This means that the body becomes more efficient and able to handle greater loads. For example, in order to complete a 1.5-mile run easily, your training has to go from a jog to a run, from running for 20 minutes to 40 minutes, and increasing your pace from about 9 to 12 kilometers. 88 Part 2 Planning and Maintaining a Fitness Program. Copyright 2018 Emmond Montgomery Publications. All rights reserved. Image with the following description. Image for page with label 88 inches. Per hour. If you decrease your levels of exercise, the gains that you achieved will start to disappear. Progressive overload is accomplished by gradually increasing the frequency, intensity, time, or type of exercise. This is known as the FIT principle. The FIT principle. The FIT principle is a set of guidelines to adhere to in order to benefit from a specific fitness program. It includes F. Frequency. Most objectives require a training level of 3 to 5 times a week. People whose fitness level is low should begin with 3 times a week, and then gradually build up to 5. Remember, the Canadian Physical Activity Guidelines say at least 150 minutes of moderate to vigorous intensity aerobic physical activity per week for cardio, in bouts of 10 minutes or more, and for muscle and bone strengthening activities using major muscle groups, at least 2 days per week. CSEP, 2011b. Once your goals are reached, physical activity 2 or 3 times a week is needed to maintain your fitness level. Intensity. To benefit from an exercise, you need to increase the intensity of the exercise gradually over the course of your training program, for example, by slowly increasing the weight pushed or pulled for strength training, gradually raising jogging speed to increase cardiorespiratory intensity, or stretching muscles more and more with each workout to increase flexibility. But increasing the intensity of a workout must be done in small steps to avoid injuries. Also, for beginners, intensity is less important than frequency and duration. Time, duration. Exercise produces benefits only if your exercise sessions last for extended periods of time. As you progress, you should increase the duration of the sessions. A runner who wants to increase cardiorespiratory endurance, for example, may begin with 20-minute sessions and slowly move up to 60-minute sessions. 20 to 60 minutes is typical for endurance training. Type of exercise. The type of exercises relate to the specific program you are involved in. In aerobic training, they include activities that work large muscle groups and that can be done in a rhythmic fashion, such as brisk walking, cycling, swimming, and running. In weight training, they include activities that focus on the muscles that you want to strengthen or increase. Bodybuilders tend to isolate a muscle group and work it to exhaustion. Athletes in sports, on the other hand, train movements rather than muscles. It is important to divide your time and energy among various types of movements: endurance, strength and power, speed and agility, and tactical, that mirror the BFOR tests, taking into account the importance of recovery time. See the principle of recovery, below. The principle of specificity. The principle of specificity refers to the body's ability to adapt to a particular type and amount of stress placed on it. To develop a particular fitness skill, you must Chapter 4 Principles of Exercise 89 Copyright 2018 Emmond Montgomery Publications. All rights reserved. Image with the following description. Image for page with label 89 inches. Choose exercises tailored to that skill. Over the past 20 years, the primary reason many law enforcement students have failed the shuttle run has been their lack of commitment to aerobic training, specifically, running. Although interval training, weight training, and cycling provide some cross-training effects, nothing can take the place of running. Similarly, the demands of the push-pull machine and the arm restraint device are best met by a strength training program. A commitment to law enforcement requires a well-rounded fitness program with training components tailored to cardiorespiratory endurance, strength, and flexibility. The specificity principle is sometimes referred to as the specific adaptation to imposed demand principle. Muscle adaptation will occur when you place a specific demand for improvement on a specific skill. It is important, then, to train to a high aerobic level to be successful in aerobic training. It is also important to train anaerobically to maneuver easily up and down the stairs on all of the BFORs. It is imperative that you have leg strength to use the push-pull machine easily. The principle of individuality. The principle of individuality suggests that training programs are adjusted for personal differences such as abilities, skills, gender, age, experience, motivation, physical condition, the ability to recover after a workout, and susceptibility to injury. These factors play a part in designing a program. For example, in weight training, individuals must either change the number of repetitions or sets they are performing, or for a few weeks change their entire program, in order to confuse the muscles into having to work in a different way and cause changes at the cellular level. It also may include how and when you are most motivated to participate in the program, whether you like exercising in the morning or at night, whether you like group activities, how your body responds to certain kinds of workouts. Remember that you can't expect to improve your cardiorespiratory system if you are training more for strength and neglecting the aerobic and anaerobic components. The principle of reversibility. According to the principle of reversibility, all the benefits of exercise are lost if you stop training. Atrophy occurs when muscles undergo periods of complete or near complete inactivity. In fact, up to 20% of exercise benefits can be lost in the first 2 weeks of not training, and as much as 50% can be lost in less than 2 months. Not only do muscles lose strength with disuse, but they also decrease in size. Detraining is the term used to describe the time period in which someone who has undergone a significant amount of training either stops completely or to a large extent. This happens for a number of reasons, including the inability to train because of an injury, the lack of an available open gym when an individual is off shift, a lack of motivation, or the need for family time. One way to prevent much of this loss is to maintain the intensity of your workouts, even if you cannot maintain the frequency and duration. Equally, by overtraining, when you don't allow sufficient recovery time between workouts, you can hamper your progress. Table 4.3 explains what can happen in the body with overtraining. Overtraining syndrome is the full spectrum of overtraining and can result in hormonal, nutritional, mental, emotional, muscular, neurological, and other imbalances. 90 Part 2 Planning and Maintaining a Fitness Program Copyright 2018 M. and Montgomery Publications. All rights reserved. Image with the following description. Image for page with label 90 inches. Table 4.3 Training Effects and Signs of Overtraining Syndrome (OTS). Effects of overtraining: acute chronic muscle work to exhaustion, muscles always feel sore, traumatic orthopedic injury, body exhausted after workout, glycogen depleted, sympathetic response elevated, increased cortisol levels, stunting or inhibiting adaptation, muscles become weaker over time, increased risk of orthopedic overuse injury, lack of ability to concentrate, disturbances in rhythm and flow of movement, body becomes weaker, glycogen depleted, increased parasympathetic response, increased cortisol levels to stress resulting in risk of increased appetite and weight gain, visceral fat, diabetes, decreased levels of testosterone. Signs of overtraining responses: sympathetic nervous system, parasympathetic nervous system, chronic state of fight or flight, in which the body is under constant stress, chronically trying to repair the body, increased resting heart rate and blood pressure, decreased sports performance, decreased maximal blood lactate concentrations, slower recovery after exercise, weight loss, decreased appetite, decreased desire to exercise, increased irritability and depression, increased incidence of injury, increased incidence of infection and suppression of the immune system, decreased resting heart rate, faster return of heart rate to resting value after exercise, decreased sports performance, decreased blood lactate concentrations during submaximal and maximal exercise, insomnia, unemotional behavior. Sources: Andrews, Herlihy, Livingstone, Andrew, and Walker, 2002, Bruinsgaard et al., 1997, Mackenzie, 1999, Mewson et al., 2013. The principle of diminishing returns. The principle of diminishing returns is based on the fact that a person's training gains will reflect his or her prior level of training. People who have had little training make significant gains both in terms of strength and aerobic capacity. Those who are highly trained make relatively small gains. For example, those who start running at the beginning of a course for the first time are able to see significant decreases in their times, sometimes by as much as 3 to 4 minutes, while those who run regularly usually see only small gains. Their run time decreases by less than 1/2 minute. It becomes very important to try new training methods or different equipment in order to see further gains. Devising an exercise program that is most suited to you depends on your goals, the requirements of the law enforcement community, and your fitness level. Depending on your ability, you may have to spend substantially more time in a program to meet the demands of the BFOR standards and prepare for the demands of the job. Chapter 4 Principles of Exercise 91 Copyright 2018 M. and Montgomery Publications. All rights reserved. The principle of recovery. The principle of recovery is tied to the recuperation time or amount of rest required after a workout. Torn muscle tissue needs time to repair. In cardiorespiratory training, beginners should exercise at least 5 times a week and leave at least a day to rest. Similarly, in weight training, beginners should allow a day's rest between each day of training. In strength training, beginners may need 48 hours or more between workouts. Also, be aware that more demanding exercise programs typically require more rest between training sessions. People who do not feel a small increase in strength after each workout, or who experience pain with each workout, may need to reduce the frequency with which they train. Refer to assignment 4.4 at www.mn.ca/fitness5e and set your fitness training goals. Training methods. When training for the BFOR tests, it becomes necessary to focus on increasing your speed, endurance, strength, agility, and flexibility. To achieve these goals, a number of training methods have been devised to provide variety and challenge, including functional training, resistance training, interval training, high-intensity interval training, HIIT plyometric training, concurrent training, and periodization. Functional training. Functional fitness involves exercises that train your muscles to perform daily tasks by simulating common movements you do at home, at work, or in sports. It focuses on training a specific task, for example, restraining a non-compliant individual, as opposed to training the muscles that are used in the task, for example, bench press or bicep curl. Functional training includes coordination, different types of muscular contractions, concentric, eccentric, isometric, speed of movement, and range of motion through multiple joints. It can be done in all types of settings, with all types of equipment, and should supplement traditional strength training. The focus of functional training is around locomotion, running, your ability to level change, for example, having the knee flexion to support the hips when jumping, the ability to push and pull, including throwing, pushing away, and holding objects, for example, the ability to effectively use the body control simulator in the BFOR tests, and the strength to effectively rotate, for example, change direction when running, have the ability to swing a golf club. Programs are centered around body weight exercises and/or equipment such as free weights, pulley and bands, medicine balls, stability balls, and bells. Research indicates that functional training assists muscles to be better stabilizers, whereby function of a joint is enhanced. The 3 key groups in need of stability training include the deep abdominals, transversus abdominis and internal oblique, hip abductors and rotators, and scapula stabilizers. This means that you first have to train with single joint exercises to improve a larger area. For example, the police fitness personnel of Ontario have advocated training transversus abdominis and multifidus to improve low back health and reduce lower back pain. They have moved away from the crunch and curl up, which compress lower lumbar segments, restrict the excursion of the diaphragm, weaken the pelvic floor, and cause high shearing strains across the high lumbar. 92 Part 2 Planning and Maintaining a Fitness Program. Copyright 2018 M. and Montgomery Publication. Segments, and advocated other exercises to reduce lower back pain. See Chapter 11 for more information. By coordinating multi-joint and multi-planar, sagittal, frontal, and transverse movements, the acts of getting in and out of a car or dealing with high-intensity, short-duration confrontations such as taking a non-compliant individual to the ground can be functional in terms of strength and range of motion. See Chapter 6 for more information. FYI, aerobic versus anaerobic exercise. The 2 basic categories of exercise are aerobic and anaerobic. It is helpful to understand the differences between them, because both should be incorporated into any fitness routine to produce the greatest benefit. The word aerobic means with oxygen. As the name implies, aerobic exercise uses oxygen to produce the energy necessary for muscle movement, by burning fats and carbohydrates. Aerobic exercise is usually called cardiovascular exercise, or just cardio. It includes activities that work large muscle groups and increase the heart rate and respiration during and shortly following the exercise, for example, walking, cycling, swimming, jumping rope, and running. Aerobic exercise builds endurance and strengthens the major muscles, the lungs, and the heart. Among its many benefits are a lower resting heart rate and lower blood pressure, a decreased risk of heart disease, and improved lung function. In contrast to aerobic, the term anaerobic means without oxygen. As the name implies, this kind of exercise does not require oxygen to produce energy, and only carbohydrates are burned. When we exercise anaerobically for longer periods of time, lactic acid accumulates and we experience muscle fatigue. Examples of anaerobic exercise include high-intensity activities that expend energy in short bursts, such as weightlifting, interval training, high-intensity interval training, and the 100m sprint. Anaerobic exercise helps increase muscle mass and strength. Resistance training, also referred to as weight training, is the use of resistance in performing muscular contractions to increase muscle mass, strength, and endurance, as well as potential for improving flexibility and range of motion. Resistance training is usually associated with a reduced number of injuries. Benefits depend on the number of repetitions and sets, the length of rest periods between exercises, and the intensity and volume of workouts. Individuals can use dumbbells, exercise balls, bands, or machines. Pilates programs have become a very popular resistance workout. The Pilates system focuses on increasing flexibility and strength without building bulk by doing a series of controlled isometric movements. Interval training is based on the concept that the body's energy systems can make both aerobic and anaerobic gains by training with relatively intense exercises full load by a period of recovery. Intensity and recovery times depend on the individual's level of fitness. Usually, this approach means alternating short, high-intensity bursts of speed with slower recovery phases throughout a single workout. For example, runners will do intervals of 400 meters to train for 1.5-mile, 2.4 kilometers runs with a rest period of walking 50 to 100 meters and then repeating the 400-meter run. Chapter 4. By attempting to increase the number of repetitions and varying the speed, many runners are able to reduce their time on the run. High-intensity interval training HIIT, is a type of interval training that mixes high-intensity bursts of exercise with recovery periods. It can be exhausting but has considerable advantages. It can be the quickest way to lose fat, become fit, and increase sports performance. This type of training is one of the most effective ways to increase your VO2 max and increase shuttle run performance. An example would be to do 5 to 6 all-out 30-second sprints with a 2-minute slow jog recovery, working to reduce the recovery time to 1 minute. The goal is to increase your anaerobic threshold. This is the point during the anaerobic exercise when lactic acid starts to build up at a rate greater than it can be removed from the muscle. Based on the individual's speed, anaerobic threshold training typically lasts 20 minutes. The threshold is reached when an athlete attains between 50 and 85% of maximum aerobic capacity. The more fit the athlete, the higher the percentage. Because this type of training completely exhausts your muscles of energy, it is important to have a day or two between such workouts. You must do an extensive warm-up to prime your muscles properly, and then cool down and stretch after the workout. A current program that reflects HIIT is the Tabata workouts, which are designed to have shorter work periods to rest periods, 8 sets of 20 seconds work, 10 seconds rest. These types of exercise regimes cause a higher heart rate, which ultimately helps to improve VO2 max. Plyometric training is a form of resistance training that works on developing strength, power, and agility. Through a series of drills that usually use one's own body weight or medicine balls, exercise bands, stability balls, or weighted vests, individuals develop programs that include exercises that feature explosive movements through counter movements to build muscular energy and power. These exercises focus not only on the contraction of the muscle but also on how fast it can contract. Examples include squat jumps, box drills, hopping, jump rope, and ballistic medicine ball drills. Individuals have to be highly motivated to do this kind of training. Concurrent training refers to the principle that you train for either strength or power at the same time you train for cardiovascular endurance. Those who train more generally have leaner muscle mass and lower body fat composition, which makes the tasks of the job easier to do. This means you are doing your cardiovascular and resistance training workouts during the same training session, or within 1 hour of each other. The advantage of the concurrent approach is the parallel development of all qualities. The disadvantage is the risk of overtraining and the consequent limits on training effects. Depending on the intensity of the cardiovascular training, there may be some reduction in performance. For example, while doing leg presses after a cycling class, you may see some reduction in strength. For this reason, some individuals train for strength before working the cardiovascular system. The reverse approach is used when weight loss and endurance gains are a priority. 94 Part 2 Planning and Maintaining a Fitness Program. Periodization refers to an overall training plan in which an individual maximizes performances at peak times. This approach reduces the risk of injury and mental burnout. In sports, training periods are separated into off-season, preseason, and in-season. There is a distinct period during which athletes learn necessary skills and motor development, and then gradually improve in skill, strength, and endurance while competing in their sport. Some of you may want to consider this as a method for reaching your goals. In order to pass fitness standards, individuals need to set up programs. These should include a brief period in which to become familiar with the BFOR equipment. The preparation period that follows should include a high-volume, low-intensity training program in order to learn the routine. In the preparation period, it is important to ensure that you work on both agonist and antagonist muscle groups, as well as smaller muscle groups to ensure musculoskeletal balance. This should be full load by a strength phase, in which strength is built up to perform a task with ease, and a power phase to address the fact that training intensity increases while volume may be decreasing. Hypertrophy, increased muscle size, and maximal strength usually occur midway through this phase. The competitive or in-season stage usually combines shorter periods of training in specific skills at more intense levels, with tapering or complete rest just prior to a competition. In terms of meeting BFOR standards, this means that individuals need to train generally toward increasing their level of fitness. Then they are required to train on the equipment needed to practice the push-pull, arm restraint, shuttle run, and victim relocation components, as well as jumping over objects and interval training on stairs. The final stage is meant to ensure that the individual can easily attain level 7 on the shuttle run, do the equipment movements with ease, and be able to complete the circuit in the required time frame prior to testing. This also refers to training specific muscle fibers. He or she would have maximum strength and power in this maintenance phase. Then less time is required to maintain strength, while more emphasis is placed on tactical and skill-based training. Guidelines for starting a fitness program to ensure that you enjoy exercising and do so safely. Here are some guidelines for starting a fitness program. Start slowly when you begin your program. Remember that duration and frequency should take precedence over intensity. If you are experiencing muscle soreness 48 hours after your workout, or are experiencing a lack of energy or decreased physical performance, you are probably suffering from overtraining and are at risk of injury. Remember that you are making a lifelong commitment to fitness, so it is not important to get in shape as fast as possible. Instead, gradually build up to your desired fitness level, and then work on maintaining that level. Train specifically to meet the job demands of law enforcement. Your body will adapt to the demands that you place on it. You need to focus on upper body strength, cardiorespiratory endurance, and flexibility training to stay as healthy as you can throughout your career. Chapter 4 Principles of Exercise 95 Copyright 2018 Emmond Montgomery Publications. All rights reserved. Image with the following description. Image for page with label 95 inches. A proper warm-up and cool-down are essential. A warm-up should gradually warm up the muscles, including the heart, so that they can respond to the demands of your physical activity. A warm-up should include exercises that increase your heart rate as well as stretch all muscle groups, and include low-intensity movements similar to the exercises you will be doing. A cool-down should bring the body back to normal through the use of slow and gradual movements to prevent the pooling of blood. Think about the order in which you do your exercises. Start with the large muscle groups and work your way down to the smaller ones. Training large muscle groups, such as thighs, chest, and back, will take most of your energy, therefore, you need to do them when you are at your strongest. Smaller muscles, such as biceps, triceps, and forearms, should be trained after larger muscles because they do not require as much energy to train. Get enough fluids into your system. 2 hours before a workout, you should have at least half a liter of a cool drink. During a workout, you should have 150 to 225 milliliters of fluid every 15 minutes. After a workout, you should drink about 1 liter for every kilogram of body weight lost. You can determine how much body weight you lose during a workout by weighing yourself before and after the workout. Drinking water is a good way to replenish your fluids. Sports drinks, which help to replace electrolytes lost through sweating, are also acceptable, although many people find them too hard on the digestive system and need to dilute them. Train regularly. Remember that you need a regular workout routine. 3 to 5 times a week is necessary to see results from endurance training and to maintain those results. Intersperse your sessions with weight training or interval training on the other days. People who exceed the recommended number of workouts risk injury. Try one of the different fitness classes offered through your school. You do not have to make a long-term commitment, but you might find them challenging and outside your normal workout practices, which can help improve your skills and level of fitness. Train with a partner. The motivation and encouragement that you get from a fitness partner will help you through the hard times when your fitness routine does not seem to be producing results. A partner is also invaluable in weight training as a spotter and generally to ensure that you are adhering to the proper techniques. Remember that everyone has a unique physical makeup. Everyone progresses at a different rate or experiences different improvements. Fitness is a very personal thing. If you compare yourself to others, you may set yourself up for failure, especially if the others are already at a higher fitness level. 96 Part 2 Planning and Maintaining Flexibility and stretching. Flexibility, the ability to move joints freely through their full range of motion, is determined by the type of joint being used. The range of motion of most joints can be maintained or increased with proper training, but can decline quickly with disuse. Flexibility is an important component of a balanced fitness program, but one that is often neglected. It is achieved by incorporating stretching exercises into your fitness program. In this section, we will look at the benefits of stretching and describe a number of stretching techniques. The Fit for Duty, Fit for Life training guide that accompanies this textbook includes descriptions and photographs of recommended upper and lower body stretching exercises. The benefits of stretching. There are a number of reasons for incorporating stretching into your fitness program. Bem and Chiwachi, 2011, Page, 2012, Plowman and Smith, 2007, Treharn and Barish, 2009. It enhances your body's ability to perform the exercises in your program. Stretching hamstrings, quadriceps, hip flexors, and low back muscles regularly will help reduce the strain on the back. Flexibility training will improve your posture and help prevent low back pain. It reduces the risk of injury from exercising, including joint sprains and muscle strains. It increases your range of motion and helps to keep your body feeling loose and agile. It promotes relaxation and helps reduce stress. It can enhance physical fitness. It increases blood supply and nutrients to joint structures. It can reduce the severity of painful menstruation, dysmenorrhea. It can reduce resistance and tension in muscles. It can optimize the learning, practice, and performance of many types of skilled movements. It can promote the development of body awareness. Submaximal aerobic activities and dynamic stretching may help our muscles and tendons work more efficiently prior to running and participating in specific activities over static stretching. Stretching not only helps prevent injury and reduce low back pain, but it may also help you recover from injury faster. Karaji, 2005. Debate continues regarding the best time to stretch, for example, before, during, or after a workout. According to Schreier, 2004, stretching can reduce the risks of sport or workout injury, but it may slow performance if done just prior to the activity. As noted, muscle tissue is broken down during any weight-bearing activities. Under stress, tiny micro tears develop in the muscle fibers. This contributes to did you know? In general, women tend to be more flexible than men throughout the lifespan. However, a regular, properly designed stretching program can help to close the gender gap. Source: Peterson, 2011. Chapter 4 Principles of Exercise 97 Copyright 2018 Emmond Montgomery Publications. All rights reserved. Image with the following description. Image for page with label 97 inches. Muscle soreness that often accompanies a strenuous workout. Because stretching brings nutrients to the musculoskeletal system, it can help repair fibers and speed up the healing process. As a result, there is less muscle soreness, so you can come back stronger for your next workout. Stretching techniques. There are 5 stretching techniques: static stretching, dynamic stretching, ballistic stretching, proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation (PNF), and fascial stretching. Static stretching. Static stretching is an effective technique for improving flexibility. It is done after exercise, and involves bringing a muscle to a controlled maximum or near maximum stretch by contracting the opposing muscle and holding the stretch for at least 20 to 30 seconds without pain. Each stretch is repeated 2 or 3 times. Because static stretching is performed slowly, the strong reflex action that characterizes ballistic stretching, see below, does not occur. Static stretching was developed to prevent injury, increase flexibility, and enhance performance. Athletes whose sports require an increased range of motion, such as gymnastics, are believed to benefit from static stretching, although some research has questioned this. It also relieves muscle soreness and helps prevent muscle imbalance, knots, and tightness. Dynamic stretching. Dynamic stretching, or functional stretching, consists of exercises that use the specific movements of the tasks or skills you are doing to prepare the body for movement. It involves moving your body and gradually increasing your reach, speed, or both. Dynamic stretching consists of controlled leg and arm swings that gently move you through your range of motion. Kicking an imaginary soccer ball is a dynamic stretch for the hamstrings and groin muscles. Twisting from side to side is a dynamic stretch for the trunk. Some of the benefits of dynamic exercises include developing balance, whacking up the muscles by increasing blood flow and nutrients to the tissue, providing specific movements commonly used in a particular skill or sport. Hendrick, 2000, and enhanced performance. Needham, Morse, and Degens, 2009. Dynamic stretching does not seem to elicit the performance reduction effects that static and PNF stretching, see below, do in runners. Ballistic stretching. Ballistic stretching involves quick, well-coordinated action-reaction movements using the momentum of a moving limb to stretch the muscles beyond their normal range of motion, sometimes involving bouncing during a stretch. It is not recommended as it promotes the stretch reflex, increasing risk of injury, and many textbooks avoid discussing it. Thayer and Lee, 1987. An example in law enforcement would be when you are throwing a punch and the elbow joint goes beyond the normal range of motion. Recent research has shown that although ballistic stretching produces less stretch than static stretching, fewer individuals suffer injuries or complications from bouncing to stretch past their normal range of motion than was 98. Part 2 Planning and Maintaining. Previously believed. Covert, Alexander, Petronas, and Davis, 2010. Other research has shown some effect in increasing power, suggesting that dynamic stretching may be more productive. Samuel, Holcomb, Guadagnoli, Rubley, and Wallman, 2008. More research is required before ballistic stretching is adopted for particular activities. Proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation. Proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation (PNF) involves contracting and relaxing the muscles before stretching. Usually, the exercises require the assistance of a partner, see Figure 4.9. Originally used in physiotherapy, this type of stretching has gained acceptance in the general fitness community. The two common types of PNF are contract relax, CR, stretching the muscle you want to stretch is contracted and then relaxed passively first. The now relaxed muscle is then slowly actively stretched isometrically. This technique requires equipment, a towel or skipping rope, or a partner's assistance. Contract relax antagonist contract cracked stretching begin by contracting and relaxing the muscle opposite to the one to be stretched, for example, while grasping a towel under your foot to draw your toes toward your head. First contract the gastrocnemius, then relax and pull on the towel to stretch the gastrocnemius further. Follow this by contracting the muscle to be stretched. The final action is the stretch itself. Contracting the opposite muscle promotes a reflex relaxation of the muscle to be stretched. This technique requires the assistance of a well-trained partner. Figure 4.9 Proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation (PNF). PNF is believed to be the most effective way of enhancing active flexibility, which is the active contraction and relaxation of the muscles that are being stretched. Alter, 1990, page 10. By relaxing the muscle, PNF allows it to be stretched farther, but PNF presents a higher risk of injury than static stretching and can increase blood pressure to dangerous levels. Alter, 1990. It also has the disadvantage of often requiring a knowledgeable partner's assistance to avoid injury from overstretching. Chapter 4 Principles of Exercise 99 Copyright 2018 M. & Montgomery Publications. All rights reserved. Fascial stretching. Fascia consists of interwoven layers of connective tissue that surrounds all muscles, bones, tendons, joints, and nerves and provides support, protection, and acts as a shock absorber. Fascia is the most energy-efficient material in the body and optimizes muscular forces. It has 2 to 8 times the strength and resistive force of the muscle it surrounds. For example, when you stretch your triceps by contracting your biceps, the fascia acts like a rubber band when you stop contracting and return the triceps back to its starting position. Trauma, overuse injuries, and post-operative healing can affect the ability of the fibers to slide over each other and cause adhesions. Pavon, Stecco, Stren, and Stecco, 2014. This increases the density of the fascia, reducing circulation, lymphatic flow, and movement. This results in stiffness, chronic pain, loss of strength, and/or loss of mobility and flexibility from the excessive buildup of dense fascia and scar tissue. Fascial stretching is important to keep fascial tissue pliable so that sticky adhesions don't form. To stretch the fascia as well as the muscle involves positioning multiple joints at different angles and planes of movement. These movements involve slow whole body stretches. Techniques include self-massage using foam rollers and/or lacrosse balls over parts of the body, and performing various yoga techniques ensuring you hold stretches 30 to 90 seconds. Figure 4.10 Fascial stretching. Safe and effective stretching. It is important that your warm-up begin with large muscle activities such as walking or jogging, which facilitate safe stretching by increasing muscle temperature. A pre-exercise warm-up should consist of at least 5 to 15 minutes of light aerobic exercise followed by stretching exercises for all the major muscle groups. Examples appear in the Fit for Duty, Fit for Life training guide that accompanies this textbook. Performing stretching exercises at the end of your workout will increase your flexibility. Whether the workout is aimed at cardiorespiratory or resistance training, your body temperature will be raised, making stretching easier. 100 Part 2 Planning and Maintaining a Fitness Program. Copyright 2018 M. & Montgomery Publications. All rights reserved. The FIT formula introduced earlier in this chapter provides a template for you to devise a stretching routine that meets your needs. Frequency. Daily stretching is the best. You need to stretch before and after a workout. Regular stretching can help prevent tightness, muscle imbalance, and soreness. Stretching after exercises can help return muscles to their normal length, remove waste products that have built up from the workout, and reduce stiffness. Intensity. Stretch to your limit, but avoid painful stretching, holding at least 20 to 30 seconds, and repeating the stretch 2 to 4 times. In dynamic stretching, you should do the exercises at a lower intensity than your workout, repeating 4 to 5 times over an 8 to 10 minute period. A cardiovascular exercise routine should involve at least 8 to 10 minutes of stretching at a low intensity, 50 to 60% maximum heart rate. Before resistance training, you should do a set of exercises for large and then small muscle groups, using lighter weights to warm up. Time stretch at least 8 to 10 minutes as part of your warm up and cool down. Some athletes stretch for as long as an hour. Type static and dynamic stretching are great to do with a workout. PNF and fascial stretching are good choices when recovering from an injury or working on increasing range of motion. Based on studies by McNair, Dombrowski, Hewson, and Stanley 2000, and Knudsen, Bennett, Korn, Lake, and Smith 2001, dynamic stretches involving slow, controlled movements through the full range of motion are considered more appropriate for a warm-up, while static stretches are more appropriate in a cool-down. Assignment 4.5, available at www.mn.ca/fitness5e, will help you assess your flexibility and then choose specific exercises tailored to your goals. You will have to decide based on trial and error which helps you more while preventing injury. Top tips. For safe and effective stretching, complete a range of stretching exercises for all the different muscle groups. Pay attention to the muscle groups that are involved most in any sport you participate in. Proceed slowly and avoid ballistic stretching by not bouncing. Breathe out as you stretch and continue to breathe as you hold the stretch. Use the proper movements for each exercise. Stretch individual muscle groups one at a time. Don't strain to compete with the person next to you. When working with a partner, ensure that he or she knows your limits. Stop the stretch if you begin to feel pain. Chapter 4, Principles of Exercise. Remember, too, that in order for your exercise program to work effectively, you must make it fit your needs. Final thoughts. Designing your own fitness program with creativity and variety is important for program adherence. Important factors when designing your program include intensity, frequency, and time. Try to incorporate the different principles of exercise based on your needs and abilities to ensure you can meet the requirements of the law enforcement career that you have chosen. In the balance of Part 2 of this book, Chapter 5 will give you more specifics relating to cardiovascular training, while Chapter 6 focuses on resistance training. There are really only two requirements when it comes to exercise. One is that you do it. The other is that you continue to do it. The New Glucose Revolution for Diabetes by Jenny Brand Miller, K. Foster Powell, Stephen Calagiuri, and Alan W. Barkley 102 Part 2 Planning and Maintaining a Fitness Program Copyright 2018 Emmond Montgomery Publications. All rights reserved. Image with the following description. Image for page with label 102 inches. Remember, too, that in order for your principle of diminishing returns refers to the fact that a person's training gains will reflect his or her prior level of training. People who have had little training make significant gains both in terms of strength and aerobic capacity, while those who are fit must work harder to see results. Principle of individuality refers to training programs that are adjusted for personal differences based on abilities, skills, gender, age, experience, motivation, physical condition, the ability to recover after a workout, and susceptibility to injury. Principle of progressive overload refers to training and overloading the muscles that help the body to adapt to more and more stress. Principle of recovery refers to the recuperation time or amount of rest required after a workout. Principle of reversibility refers to all the benefits of exercise that are lost if you stop training. Principle of specificity refers to the ability of the body to adapt to a particular type and amount of stress placed on it. Proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation (PNF), a stretching technique that involves contracting and relaxing the muscles before stretching. Range of motion, the distance and direction a joint can move to its full potential. Resistance training, the most common form of weight training, which incorporates exercises that result in gains to muscle mass and strength as well as the potential for improved flexibility and range of motion. Sprain and injury, in which ligaments are either overstretched or torn. Static stretching, a stretching technique that involves bringing a muscle to a maximum or near maximum stretch by contracting the opposing muscle and holding the stretch for 20 to 30 seconds without pain. Strain refers to a muscle that has been stretched too far by applying too much tension or pressure. Synergist, a muscle that assists an agonist indirectly in producing a joint's movement. Tendon, fibrous tissue that connects muscles to bones. Exercises. Multiple choice 1. The 4 basic kinds of human tissue include a. Ligaments, tendons, bones, and muscles. B. Skeletal, smooth, connective, and epithelial. C. Agonists, antagonists, synergists, and fixators. D. Epithelial, connective, muscle, and nerve. E. Bones, muscles, nerves, and organs. 2. During which of the following contractions does muscle length remain constant? A. Concentric. B. Eccentric. C. Isometric. D. Isokinetic. E. Isotonic. 3. The warm-up and cool-down components of your workout should each last, blank, A. 5 minutes. B. 5 to 15 minutes. Circa 10 to 25 minutes. D. 25 to 40 minutes. E. Don't need these 4. When speaking about resistance training, which best describes the F in the FIT formula? A. 1 to 3 days per week. B. 3 to 5 days per week. Circa 2 to 3 days per week. D. 5 to 7 days per week. E. None of these 5. Intensity, type of exercise, blank, and blank, are the 4 factors involved in fitness development. A. Time, speed. B. Frequency, distance. C. Frequency, time. D. Distance, time. E. None of these 6. The purpose of a warm-up is A. To avoid tearing large muscle groups. B. To prepare for the workout psychologically. C. To increase heart rate. D. To increase internal temperature. E. All of these 104. Part 2. Planning and maintaining a fitness program. Copyright 2018 M. and Montgomery Publications. All rights reserved. Image with the following description. Image for page with label 104 inches. 7. The most important health-related component of physical fitness is A. Body composition. B. Cardiorespiratory endurance. C. Muscular strength. D. Muscular endurance. E. Flexibility. 8. The best indicator for measuring the intensity of your workout is A. The total time you take to work out. B. Rapid breathing. C. The amount you sweat. D. Your heart rate. E. Your fatigue level. 9. Skill-related fitness components include A. Aerobic and strength training. B. Speed and endurance training. C. Speed and agility. D. Flexibility and hand-eye coordination. E. Body composition and aerobic training. 10. Which of the following terms refers to the ability of a muscle to exert force for only one maximum effort? A. Muscular atrophy. B. Muscular hypertrophy. C. Muscular overload. D. Muscular strength. E. Muscular endurance. 11. The maintenance of equilibrium while stationary or while moving is termed A. Agility. B. Balance. C. Coordination. D. Poise. E. Reaction time. 12. Which should be the primary advantage of good health-related physical fitness? A. Improved work efficiency. B. Excellence in sports. C. Enjoyment of leisure. D. Prevention of disease. E. A good appearance. 13. Blank. Training refers to interval training of distances at high intensity levels followed by recovery periods at predetermined intervals of moderate intensity. A. Periodization. B. Concurrent. C. HIIT. D. Interval. E. Plyometric. 14. The blank training technique involves training for power or strength at the same time as endurance training. A. Periodization. B. Concurrent. C. Resistance. D. Interval. E. Plyometric. 15. Using your body weight and minimal equipment, blank training involves a series of drills that involve explosive movements through counter movements to build muscular energy and power. A. Periodization. B. Concurrent. C. Resistance. D. Interval. E. Plyometric. 16. Blank training is based on the concept that the body's energy systems can make both aerobic and anaerobic gains by training with relatively intense exercises followed by a period of recovery. A. Periodization. B. Concurrent. C. Resistance. D. Interval. E. Plyometric. 17. The disadvantage of concurrent training is A. You see gains in all areas that you work. B. You see more gains in aerobic over strength. C. You see more gains in strength over aerobic. D. You risk overtraining and limit the gains that can be seen. E. There are no disadvantages. Chapter 4 Principles of Exercise 105 Copyright 2018 Emmond Montgomery Publications. All rights reserved. Image with the following description. Image for page with label 105 inches. 18. Stretching for flexibility is most effective during which of the following? A. The warm-up. B. The workout. C. Endurance training. D. The cool-down. E. Doesn't really matter when. 19. Dynamic stretching involves A. Quickly moving a limb to its limits. B. The full range of motion achieved in a slow, controlled stretch. C. A natural response that causes a stretched muscle to contract. D. A stretch-contract stretch partner-assisted flexibility program. E. Alternating between a slow, controlled stretch and then a few quick stretches. 20. Proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation (PNF) involves A. Quickly moving a limb to its limits. B. The full range of motion achieved in a slow, controlled stretch. C. A natural response that causes a stretched muscle to contract. D. A stretch-contract stretch partner-assisted flexibility program. E. Alternating between a slow, controlled stretch and then a few quick stretches. 21. Which of the following involves quick, coordinated movements that stretch the muscles while you are moving and incorporates the stretch reflex? A. PNF stretching. B. Ballistic stretching. C. Static stretching. D. Concentric stretching. E. Eccentric stretching. 22. Match the right stretch with the right definition. Dynamic stretching. PNF. Static stretching. Fascial stretching. Ballistic stretching. A. Contract and relax muscles as you stretch. B. Quick, well-coordinated action-reaction movements involving bouncing. C. Controlled movements to functionally improve your range of motion. D. Controlled movement to bring the muscle near maximal stretch. E. Techniques that stretch the muscle and connective tissue to improve mobility and flexibility. Short answer 1. Describe how isotonic and isometric contractions differ. 2. Identify and distinguish between the two types of muscle fiber. 3. What are the components of health-related fitness? 4. What are the components of performance, skill-related fitness? 5. What are some of the physical benefits of participating in a fitness program? 6. What are some of the psychological benefits of participating in a fitness program? 7. Identify and explain the 5 principles of physical training. 8. What guidelines should you be aware of when beginning a fitness program? 9. Describe the principle of specificity and give an example. 10. How do you apply the principle of overload? Give an example. 11. How do you counter the principle of reversibility? Give an example. 12. How would you use periodization training to prepare for the shuttle run? 13. Describe HIIT training and how it can apply to training for the BFORs. 14. Describe interval training and how it can improve your 1-5-mile, 2-4 km run. 15. Describe functional training and how it prepares you for a job in law enforcement. 16. Using the plyometric training technique, describe how you could train for the various components of the prep or pair BFORs. 17. List 4 signs of overtraining. 18. What are some of the benefits of stretching? 19. Why is flexibility so important for those in law enforcement? 106. Part 2. Planning and maintaining a fitness program. Copyright 2018 Emmond Montgomery Publications. All rights reserved. Image with the following description. Image for page with label 106 inches.